Everybody out there in YouTube land, welcome back to the QC and happy holidays. We've got a very interesting stream for you today. Going to be discussing the Wheel of Time, latest offering from Amazon Prime Video. But before we do that, just a quick word from our friends.
This is Luke Goss, and this is one of my favorite places to check out all things movie. Check it out. This is the QC.
Hey, this is Nick Smith. You're watching the QC, the best in entertainment, reviews, and more. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
All right, so we're going to bring in first Jordan.
What's going on?
What's up, Jordan? How you doing today?
I'm good. How you doing, Swan?
I'm doing good. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you, too.
And we're going to bring in now Mr. Jared. What's going on, Jared?
Hello. Great to be here as always.
Cool. So Julie's going to be joining us in just a second. She's having some technical issues, but we'll just wait for her to jump in. But so interesting with the QC having as its tagline, "This is the way." Funnily enough, just about an hour and a half ago, a new trailer, I use trailer loosely, came out for Book of Boba Fett. It's only about 30 seconds, but what did you guys think of that?
Jared, you go first.
So actually, you know what? Hold that thought. So Julie's here now. So let me let her in. We'll come back to the Book of Boba Fett, but I was going to just cover that if we were waiting for her. But Julie is ready, so we're going to add in Julie now. What's going on, Julie?
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Cool. So yeah, let's talk about the Wheel of Time. You guys want to just give me kind of your overall impressions, review? What did you guys think?
Yeah. So I thought I went in with relatively low expectations, so I think that helped me enjoy it more. But all in all, I think it's fine. It's nothing crazy. It's not bad. It's definitely not like after the first 3 episodes, I'm not like, I'm not gonna tell my friends about it yet. But I'm moderately intrigued at this point. We'll go into more of that obviously as we continue the stream. But overall impressions are it's okay. It's fine. It's not. It's it's hitting just like mild sauce for me, please.
Jared, Julie.
I want really badly to like it. I want really badly to love it because it's a genre that I just think is so much fun. The first 3 episodes, I haven't read the books or anything, so I don't have any kind of background knowledge on them. But just they started really slow. There seems to be an overlap from all of these, these very, very well-known books and shows that we're all super familiar with. But I think, so I just watched the 4th episode this morning. I think it's picking up. I think it's going to get a little better.
That's what
hopefully. I have hopes.
Yeah, I think it's picking up too. I've also watched the 4th episode. So when I first saw the trailer for the show, the first thing that I said was it kind of feels like from the trailer, having not read the books and had really literally no awareness of the Wheel of Time, it felt like Game of Thrones to me with a little bit of Last Airbender sprinkled in, which to me sounds like a very that's my kind of show. So I was very excited for it. I had a lot of friends that were telling me that it was going to be very good. So going in, I had high expectations, right? And I like the show. I'm excited about where it's going. I definitely feel like somewhere in the first 2 episodes, I kind of was like, I don't know if I like the show. It's okay. I don't know if this is necessarily for me. But then it kind of recovered a bit. I really started to like the characters and kind of understand a little bit more about their motivations and kind of who was who in the universe. And now I'm pretty excited about it. That being said, it's definitely not something where I am going to be telling everybody to go watch it. But I'm certainly enjoying it. And I think that the show has kind of found its footing a little bit after with those demon guys, whatever. I just felt like they weren't as dangerous as they looked. Really dangerous, and there were times where they were very dangerous, but there were times where like women were like beating them with like pots and pans. It seemed like I'm exaggerating, but it felt like they kind of became.
Don't underestimate a woman with a cast iron skillet.
Okay, they kind of ratcheted up the danger of those things based upon who was in the scene. And again, I don't want to. We're going to get into this more about the Game of Thrones comparison. I don't want to keep comparing it to Game of Thrones because it's not as good a show as that show. But that being said, I kind of felt like, okay, are these demons kind of like the White Walkers of this universe? But then they're just not as compelling or scary or interesting to me as White Walkers.
I think you're totally missing the mark comparing it to Game of Thrones. Like, this echoes of Lord of the Rings to me.
Yeah. So
I don't see any comparison to Game of Thrones. It's completely different, but so much overlap with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I have thoughts, but Jared here, I know you have thoughts. I'm gonna let you go.
Yeah. So overall review, I'm with Jordan and I'm with Julie. It's, I love fantasy, so I'm as much of a Thrones fan and a Lord of the Rings fan as anyone. But this, if we're comparing it to Lord of the Rings, this feels more like The Hobbit to me, where it's just like, it's okay. It's fine. And I'm also not coming to it from a background where I read the books. There's no nostalgia factor for me. It's not like I had, preconceived notions of what these characters would look like or sound like. But it has its moments. There are moments for sure. The moment with Perrin and Layla when the Trollocs attack. Episode 3 when the bartender girl turns out to like try and like kill them. So it has moments where I'm in it, but it's just moments aren't enough. I'm not in it all the time, and like the rest of you, this is not a show that, based on the 3 episodes I've watched, that I'm going around and telling everyone I know, hey, you got to go watch Wheel of Time. Like, if you're a huge fantasy head, go for it. But I'm a huge fantasy head, and I don't love it. So yeah.
So like I said, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, and I love fantasy, and I love the books. Not the Wheel of Time books, but fantasy books in general. I actually read like the first 150 pages of the Wheel of Time, so I kind of know some of the very basics of the book, but I stopped because I lost interest. But to Julie's point, there are so many times where I'm like, I just want to hear duh, and just I want to hear the Lord of the Rings theme. I want to hear the Shire theme. I just want to hear, because, like, for instance, the Trollocs are chasing them, right? And it's like, oh no, they got to get across the river. They don't like water. It's like, you're not a ring wraith, but you're a Trolloc. And it's like the time when Aes Sedai is literally like hiding underneath, like in the water, and like the Trollocs looking down. It's just so reminiscent of when the ring wraiths were in the Shire looking for Bilbo and company. Excuse me, Frodo and company. So yeah, a lot of overlap with Lord of the Rings, but that's not a bad thing. Lord of the Rings kind of set the standard of what fantasy, like good high fantasy adapted into live action, should be. So it's not a bad thing. The biggest points for me, really good production value, as we would expect from Amazon. It looks great. It sounds good. I actually like the music. I like the soundtrack. And the characters do feel real. So, I mean, there are things going for it. And as I've heard, episode 4 apparently is when it picks up. A lot of the articles are like, don't stop watching the Wheel of Time yet. Watch episode 4. It's like, it might actually have something going for it. So I'm excited to watch episode 4 to see what the Dragon Reborn, who that guy in that cage is.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Which
Okay.
that actor, if y'all have seen The Money Heist, he's like the guy in charge of the money heist.
Oh, okay. I have some.
So it's that Spanish show that it's really good.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No, I haven't seen that one. So, I know you guys we've already established, or you've all kind of said your piece as far as this show not being like Game of Thrones, and I agree with you, and I'm not trying to belabor that point, even though that is literally the next question that I'm going to ask you guys. But did you notice that? So, like, with the whole idea,
Yeah.
What's that?
Let's belabor it a little bit more.
That's what we're here to do.
All right, well,
Belabor
these questions are pre-prepared, so.
Being belabored.
But the whole notion of like having one of the characters be dragonborn, like that kind of, I guess that's also like Skyrim, right? Like Skyrim had
Very
that
Elder
story,
Scrolls.
like-
Thank you. Yeah,
I guess
someone
it's
had to say it. Very Elder Scrolls.
It came before Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
It's just
I guess
saying.
it's a common trope, but I guess just having one of these 4 or 5 main characters having some kind of dragon lineage definitely for me smacks a little bit of Game of Thrones, even though it sounds like, did these books come before Game of
Yeah.
Thrones? They did?
Yeah.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
okay, I guess just dragons
Before
are just
Game
like,
of Thrones, after J.R. Tolkien's
Tolkien.
books.
Tolkien wrote the roadmap to all fantasy, essentially. So it borrows heavily from Tolkien, but it's like Wheel of Time has inspired a lot of other writers too. So, but that's kind of the reason why when I was reading it, I'm like, this just feels like every other fantasy book I've ever read. The Dark One, his minions, the prophecy. I'm like, this is all stuff I've seen before because Wheel of Time has been so influential, So it's like I've seen it before, but this was one of the granddaddies of fantasy. So, but yeah, So more to your point, I'll let you continue Swaka with Game of Thrones. Or shoot Game of Thrones questions.
All right, so I feel like I already know your answers to this, but
It's both. It's fair in the sense that Amazon is clearly trying to make a show and buy an IP that operates in the fantasy world that they're hoping can make them as much money as HBO made off of GOT. Like that's so in that sense, I think the comparison is fair. If you look at in regards to like why Amazon did it, like the driving force probably behind the show, like being greenlit, I think that's totally fair. If you look at the actual content of the show, they feel quite different. Like they're both fantasy, but that's like saying, okay, well, Star Wars is the same as Star Trek. Like, yeah, they're both like space operas, but like they're very different in tone. So I think this is more like Wheel of Time to Game of Thrones. It's kind of like a Star Wars to Star Trek for me, where yes, they operate in the same genre, but I don't think you would show an episode of Game of Thrones and an episode of Wheel of Time. I don't think people would confuse the two.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
For sure. Yeah, I think like to go off that point, it's like there is a dark, gritty fantasy void left in all of our hearts after Game of Thrones, and like Amazon's like, we're gonna try to fill it. And the thing is, another thing is that like the books, what I did read and what I've seen online is that the books aren't dark and gritty. The books don't go talk about like it's not excessively violent. Like it's supposed to appeal like to all ages. So they're kind of a lot of the fans are unhappy actually with the interpretation because Amazon's leaning too much into trying to lead into that Game of Thrones crowd when that's not really the actual, it's not true to the source material. But if you're true to the source material, people are going to think it's like toothless. It doesn't have any bite to it. So I feel like they're kind of in a tough position because I'm cool with it. Make it more violent. Like I like good fight choreography. I like pretty cool, violent effects. If it's done well, and it serves a purpose. So I'm all about it. And I don't have any allegiance to the books, but that's an interesting point also is that the book readers are not happy with how it's being portrayed in a lot of aspects because of that. So, but I think, hey, you know what? Shoot your shot. Try to capture those people who just want to see some people die gruesomely with British accents and swords. Like, just do it. Go for it.
Sign me up for any show that meets those three criteria.
Do we know who's controlling those horned guys? Have they established?
Of course, the dark one.
The dark one. I assume.
Dark one.
It was the Fade, right? The creepy guy with the teeth.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay.
But like, I mean, yeah, is that character associated with the Dark One? I mean, the wheel weaves as the wheel wills.
There you go.
Say that 3 times fast. I had to concentrate so hard to get that out. No, I think the motivations behind all of the action and the hero's quest with Moiraine and her warder, I think that is really fuzzy, and I'm really surprised that they haven't gone a little bit deeper into that yet. Like, there's a dragon, he destroyed the universe, now he's back, but he's doing it again. But who are these guys and why are they here? Mm-hmm. So like, to me, that hasn't been really well explained yet. So, I mean, we're 4 episodes in and I'm really not that clear on, and like, just like you guys, we haven't read the books. We don't have an allegiance. What's the motivation here? Why are we upset about this happening? Like, I need to get a little bit more clear on why I'm on Moraine's side.
Yeah. Because like the white robes hate the Aes Sedai, but why? Yeah. Like, I don't know who should I be rooting for in that. Like, you have all these players, but I agree there's been very little exposition done on any of them. I also think it's a little weird that, and maybe again it's just sticking to the source material, but like with how heavily Rosamund Pike was featured in the marketing, Moiraine is kind of absent from episodes 2 and 3 because she's used all her energy to keep them up and whatever. So like, I think it's a 10 episode season. So I assume she's going to get healed soon because like you would think like the actress they probably paid the most to be in the show is a big part of episode 1 and then a very small part of episodes 2 and 3. I haven't seen 4 yet. So we'll see, and Julie and Swank, you guys can let me know. Maybe she gets healed. They give her a fairy bottle or whatever she needs and she's up and running again. But I was a little surprised with that she's been so, I guess, under-featured in a sense in the second and third episodes.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised by that too. I didn't really notice it until you pointed it out. But yeah, she's been largely absent after, what happened to her. So, yeah.
One last point I want to make before we move to the next question was, to be fair to the show, like granted, there are a lot of threads. It's like, who are the Aes Sedai, what's their history, where did the Trollocs come from, and some of it does feel abrupt. But if we're being honest, I'll speak for myself. Like the first 8 episodes of Game of Thrones, I'm like, who is House Baratheon? What's a Targaryen? Who is Stark? Who are all these? What? Just keep watching. Just keep watching. It'll make sense. I'm like 7 episodes in, and I'm still really lost. So like, I'll definitely give it some time, because I watch Game of Thrones. I'm like, bro, I don't know what's happening. People are talking, and I'm like, I'm just lost, man. But that's cool. I'm gonna keep watching, just like everyone else. Like, people are dying, and there's nudity, so like, let's just keep watching, you know.
Keep going. Just keep going.
Just keep going, and that's kind of what. And it was like well acted, obviously, but you know. So in hindsight, it's like everything makes sense. But right now we're kind of in the dark, and that's the beauty, in my opinion, of high fantasy, is like you're in a completely different world. You don't know anything, and you don't want. It's like show don't tell. You know, don't tell me who the Aes Sedai are. Have the Aes Sedai run into more people, and we can learn more about their history through other characters, and then through other people's stories. You know, so I'm hoping that we get more world building in that respect.
Totally.
And I think so far, it stop me if I'm getting a little ahead of myself, Swanka, but
You're fine.
without giving too many spoilers for the 4th episode, because I know y'all haven't seen it. It's really interesting to watch the Aes Sedai interact with each other. Like, there are clearly 6 different orders, you know, like colors of their robes. And they talk a little bit about that in the 4th episode. So yeah, exactly to your point, it's going to be really interesting to see this world built out as they, you know, we see these interactions and we see these new players come to the table.
Do you guys plan to finish the show? What do you think? And what do you think in that regard?
I think so.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna watch episode 4, and we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I think I will. I'm pretty sure I will. It really, like, yeah, we'll see what episode 4 does, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm infamous for not finishing shows, so I
am too infamous for not finishing shows, but I feel like I'm going to finish this season. I'm actually, like I said, I'm after episode 4, I'm on board. Like, I'm enjoying it. I'm very curious to see what the numbers are as far as like it's just popularity in general, and you know, very curious to see if it gets greenlit for a second season. But
it already has.
It already has been greenlit.
It already has.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, but I'm definitely liking it. Like I said, I went through kind of a roller coaster experience where I wasn't sure I liked it, but then definitely by the end of episode 4, you know, I'm on board now. So, Julie, were you gonna say something?
No, that was it. Just that, yeah, it has been greenlit.
Cool. Any final thoughts on the Wheel of Time? Sounds like we're all pretty lukewarm on it, or just kind of neutral.
So one thing that I am fascinated by it, and that when you take all of these high fantasy series and put them next to each other, one thing I will totally give them credit for is how different the magic casting is in all of them. And I'm fascinated by that, because like with Harry Potter, when you watch between, you know, when they were at Hogwarts and then the magical beasts afterwards, like they were showing kid magic versus adult wizard magic. And like that, I thought was really neat. And then, you know, they used the wands. And then in Lord of the Rings, like he just like would bang his staff on the ground and something would happen. And these women's magic, it's like very physical, like they are casting and they're throwing things. And so I think that representation, like that, I find really fascinating. So I'm interested to see. And it looks like they have to draw their power from things around them. Like they don't just manifest it out of nowhere. So like they're actually channeling it. Yeah. So I'm really interested to see that play out a little bit more.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, magic systems like are a lot of times make or break a fantasy world, especially one that's like really high fantasy with a lot of magic. So no, that's a really good point. And another thing I realized I do like about the show is that I think it's kind of cool to have like a group of protagonists and to be like, yo, one of you is like mega evil. You just don't know it yet. Like, I think that's kind of cool. It's like, am I the evil one? Like the Dragon Reborn, like we don't really know what the Dragon Reborn really is. And I think that's a cool concept to take a bunch of protagonists and be like, one of you is actually mad evil and like are going to cause a lot of pain and death and destruction. So we got to find out who that is. And, you know, but we're going to continue traveling and we're just going to be friends still. But like, I think that mystery is very advantageous when it comes to like, from a narrative standpoint, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It's also like the dragon, I guess, is just like a weapon, so it could be used for like good or evil. It's kind of interesting to say like, all right, hey, we know for sure it's one of you 4. But we don't know for sure which of you four it is.
Yeah.
And we don't know if you're good or evil, to your point.
Right, exactly. So it would make more sense if it was like, oh, if you were like, it's, Moraine's like 3 children, like one of the 3 children is the dragon. But for it to be like, no, just one of these 4 people in this town. So I'm curious to see what the selection process, the sorting hat, like whatever's going to happen to figure out which one of them it is, and if that even is something that we find out in season 1 at all. I could see that easily being a season 2 thing.
Yeah. What's your scouting system like? Like, do you have GPS? Like, what's it? How'd you find them? How did you find these people? Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, so we're gonna pivot now. What did you guys think of the Hawkeye series premiere?
I thought so. The first half of Hawkeye, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I was actually context. When I was going in, I'm like, I don't really care to watch Hawkeye. I'm like, I don't really care. Still haven't finished Loki, and that's kind of once again, I'm just, I know, yeah. Shame, you can shame me on that one, but I just don't finish shows sometimes, even though it's in my best interest. I'm like, I don't really care for another Disney Plus show. Don't really care about Hawkeye, whatever. But I watched it. First half, I'm like, okay, I kind of like the opening. I always love getting context into previous catastrophic events from other people's perspective. I think that's a great way to open it, and it felt like it fit right in the Avengers. It didn't feel shoehorned. It didn't look worse. Like sometimes it happens, like they're gonna hide the monsters, they're gonna hide, like they stay in the apartment, like it was clear. No, this is like you're there in New York, like, and there was clear sense of danger. So I think that was really cool for Kate. And I think I also think that Haley Steinfeld's a great choice. So the first half I thought it was great just because I'm like, it's wholesome, it's family oriented, but you can tell that there's a plot developing. But it wasn't until like the fights started to happen that it felt kind of campy and a little bit cheesy to me. And I understand like it's a lighter, I feel like it's a lighter in tone, but it didn't, I'm like, maybe I'm not going to keep watching just because it kind of felt campy and cheesy near the end with the fight and just the logic behind it. But that was just me.
So I watched just the first episode. I didn't see the second one.
Yeah, neither
and I thought it was fine. I think with Hawkeye, I definitely get the feeling like this is a Disney property. And this is a show that's kind of aimed at a younger audience, like families that are sitting down together for Thanksgiving or the holidays. And it's just, you're not going to get like the kind of the more controversial, I guess, kind of topics that you might get on like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And it's just, it's just firmly aimed at an audience that maybe isn't me. Even though I thought it was fine. I don't know that I'm super excited about Haley. Is it Haley Steinfeld?
Yeah,
her character just doesn't really do it for me as far as getting me excited for the show. But I'm kind of curious to see if they do anything with Ronan and if there's who's going to be the protagonist. Because who's the protagonist? I'm sure we're going to have one, but I don't know who it is. And so I thought it was fine. What did you think, Jared?
Yeah, it feels like this is me speculating a little bit, but I feel like this is going to be the torch passing show. It's Hawkeye grooming Kate Bishop to be the next Hawkeye, is my guess. Because Hawkeye's essentially, he's wanted out now for a while, right? Even look at start of Infinity War, he's chilling with his family. He's like, I'm not trying to do this hero thing. And the whole reason he, I guess, gets looped into this plot is because he saw Kate wearing his Ronin outfit. So he was like, all right, I got to go get that back. But that's what I think that's what it feels like it's going to be for me. It's going to be kind of like a father-daughter like relationship with Hawkeye teaching Kate Bishop what it's like to be a hero, essentially. And I could see him maybe not dying, but getting Steve Rogered at the end where he goes off into the sunset. He's like, I'm with my family now. I'm good. You want to be the Archer hero? There you go. Have at it, kid. So I'm with you. I wasn't like super excited, like waiting at midnight for Hawkeye to come out. I'm going to watch the show. Like it did enough. Like at this point, like I can't be left out. It's like FOMO at this point because there might be something important that happens and I can't miss it. So I'm going to watch it all, like unless it gets bad, which it wasn't bad to start. It was totally fine to start. So unless it gets like significantly worse, I'm for sure finishing this show. Is it going to be my favorite of the Disney Plus shows? Probably not, but that's okay.
Yeah, same here. I feel like at this point, if you're into the MCU, which we all are, you kind of almost have to watch shows like Hawkeye if you want to know what's going on. So, yeah, I'll be watching it, but I'm not as excited about it as I was for any of the other shows like Falcon and Winter
How about
Soldier,
No Way Home?
WandaVision, even Loki. I feel like I enjoyed Loki more than the Hawkeye premiere. So, Julie, did you happen to watch Hawkeye?
No,
Okay.
I opted in favor of watching the new episode of Star Trek Discovery this morning.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, so we mentioned this briefly at the top of the stream, but literally an hour and a half ago, a new trailer, very short, 30-second sizzle reel came out with some new footage from the Book of Boba Fett. So we all watched that, and I wanted to get your reaction, thoughts on the new footage that we saw.
I am very confused. I thought Boba Fett was killed. So the fact that there's a show about him post Return of the Jedi, I like. Was he the one that was thrown into the Sarlacc?
We're just
He was thrown
retconning
into the
everything.
Sarlacc pit, right?
Never went back.
Julie, I feel like we talked about this.
I know, like we had a huge conversation about this, Wonka, because I was very confused about who Boba Fett was, even though I know exactly who he is. Yeah, so I am not up to speed.
So there's not a whole lot to say other than he got out. He was in the Sarlacc pit.
He made it. Congratulations!
partially,
I'm so happy.
Yeah, he's being partially digested, which is why he kind of has like the Deadpool face with the skins all kind of coming off. Right? That's the reason why, because he was inside the Sarlacc
just
pit.
wait. They're bringing back Darth Vader. Give him another year or two. They'll be like, Darth Vader's not dead either.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't remember how he got out of the Sarlacc pit. If they showed
don't
that,
explain it.
They don't.
Did they show it? They just he
Like,
got out
he's a fan
somehow.
favorite
And,
character.
you
He
know,
will make us money. Thus, he got out.
Yes.
yeah. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean it's only a 30-second trailer, if you will, but there was some good stuff in there. There was some guys and some new type of trooper or whatever, I don't know what, that they showed at the beginning. I thought was pretty cool looking. And yeah, if this show is half of The Mandalorian, I'm excited and I'm going to be happy, because I mean The Mandalorian to me, I've talked about this ad nauseum on the channel in my written reviews, video reviews, that
It's not your tagline or anything, right?
right. It's not like it's a tagline of the QC, but no, The Mandalorian to me is the best use of the Star Wars property probably since the original. You can make a case since the original trilogy, and I like, and this is someone who I like the sequel films. You know what I mean? But to me, I would put season 1 or 2 of The Mandalorian at least level with Rise of Skywalker, Last Jedi, or The Force Awakens. Right? Maybe The Force Awakens. I think maybe slightly above, but yeah, and that's saying a lot, because like those movies are gazillion-dollar movies. They're supposed to be the numbered films in this huge trilogy of films, the Skywalker saga, but somehow this show that is being created and worked on by all these huge wide range of people, from Jon Favreau all the way down. And to kind of wrap up my point, if the Book of Boba Fett, which lives in the same universe and has a lot of the same people doing the writing and directing, if it's anything near Mandalorian, I think it's going to be really great, and I couldn't be more excited about it. But anyway, what did you guys think of the 30 seconds that they showed us?
I mean, like from the 30 seconds, there's going to be overlap with the Mandalorian timeline, because there were some of the same characters. So like Ming-Na Wen, her but she was a bounty hunter, I think, in the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was featured in the trailer for Boba Fett. So yeah, I think there's going to be, like there's overlap in the crew and the writing. There's also literal overlap in the universe.
Yeah, I think Ming-Na Wen probably going to be Boba Fett's like number 2 from everything I've seen, because they have released footage before this Reign 30-second reel came out today. But what I want Book of Boba Fett to be essentially is, I want it to be the other side of the coin of Mandalorian. Mandalorian being, he's a bounty hunter, right? But for the most part, good. He has this cute father-son relationship with Grogu. Like at no point, like, he's not Luke. He's not like jumping at every chance to be a hero, but overall makes the right decisions and wants to help people. I want Boba Fett to be the bounty hunter that's literally the opposite. He's the guy that's out for himself. He's out for power. He's out for money. And if that means helping someone, fine. If that means killing people, fine. Like, I'm in it for me. I'm here to, I've been gone for a while. King is back. I need to set some people in line, and whatever I got to do it, it's going to happen. So I want it to be like that. If two sides of the coin, I want Mandalorian to be the light side of what a bounty hunter can be. Boba Fett needs to be the dark side of what a bounty hunter can be. And honestly, if it's not that, if they try to make him into an anti-hero after Mandalorian exists, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be honest.
They're going to, though. They will. Come on. It's Disney.
It's Star Wars.
Yeah.
They're gonna make him a hero. They can't make an actual whole show about a villain. Unfortunately, believe me, I'd like to see that too.
It doesn't need to be full on villain. I don't need him to be going around like murdering children in the streets. I don't need him to be
I know.
But he needs to have. You got to have some angst. He's got to have a little bit of renegade, a little bit of darkness. To me,
believe me, I agree with you 100%. Honestly, that was like the most succinct way it could have been said. I didn't realize that's what I wanted from that show until you said it, but you're so right. I just don't think it's going to happen necessarily because Boba Fett is, it would work for his character, but I think Disney understands that they might lose people based on the fact that, like, if he's just doing bad things kind of consistently, I don't know. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I just can't see that existing with Disney Plus because it hasn't happened yet. Even Loki, like I'm just saying. Hey, this is just my thoughts. But in terms of the trailer, I think tonally looks cool, and like so many of the great minds behind Mandalorian are involved, so I have high hopes for sure. So we'll see. And Boba Fett's just such a classic and loved character, so I think a lot of people are going to watch it because everybody loves Boba Fett. That's kind of the character that people wish they got to see more of. So it's definitely a smart move on their part to have this. Because everybody wants to see more Boba Fett. Everybody wants to see more jetpack, missile, lasso,
flamethrowers.
I just want to see how he escaped the Sarlacc. Jeez, that's all
Maybe that's episode 1.
I'll die happy.
Doesn't matter. He's here now.
So I don't think we. Go ahead. Sorry.
You don't need to worry about how he escaped the Sarlacc.
Just like Rise of Skywalker.
Don't worry about the man behind the curtain.
Don't worry about the big exact.
Somehow Palpatine survived.
So I don't think we know yet, but I think it may be fun to speculate. So obviously we know the next Disney Plus Star Wars show after Book of Boba Fett, as I understand it, is going to be the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, right? So do you guys think they're maybe going to do like a backdoor into that show with Book of Boba Fett? Are we going to see Obi-Wan Kenobi show up? What do you guys think? Will there be any Jedi at all?
And credit scene.
Ahsoka maybe? What's that?
It'd be a huge missed opportunity if they didn't.
Yeah, I agree.
It's going to factor in some way, somehow, even if it's just a tease at the end of the show with Kenobi, like investigating some scene after Boba Fett, has this like massive, climax, whatever it's going to be. Or I think at minimum, that's what we're going to get. Maybe it's a full-on Kenobi appearance in the last episode, kind of like what they did with Ahsoka in season 2 of Mandalorian, setting up her show. Not that Obi-Wan Kenobi needs it, but that would be dope if he showed up in the finale, for instance.
Yeah. So
I completely agree. It has to happen. They'd be idiots not to.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'm really curious to see because obviously, well, you know what? I mentioned a moment ago that the next show is going to be Obi-Wan Kenobi, but I don't know if we have release dates. So I guess it could be Ahsoka Tano prior. Do we don't have any dates on those, do we?
It's true.
Yeah, I don't have dates.
I don't know. They announced so much stuff. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up.
Yeah, but no, I think definitely they would be silly, to Julie's point, not to try to introduce more Jedi into these shows. Because really, I think when Mandalorian really, at least on the internet, kind of started really like, oh my God, this is a big deal, is when Luke Skywalker showed up. Spoiler alert, if you haven't watched Mandalorian season 2, Luke shows up at the end of the, is it season finale or is this? Season finale. Yeah. So yeah, just having Luke Skywalker show up in a Star Wars property in 2020 or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty big deal.
Truly bizarre CGI.
Yeah, CGI was a bit wonky. I agree. I thought that was it wasn't very good. But yeah, so no, I'd be curious to see who they bring in. I guess it's probably going to be Ahsoka Tano, but also if they bring Obi-Wan into the season finale, that would definitely get people talking. I would certainly be talking about it if it happened. So yeah, we'll see.
Like to the opposite side, I think it's been really fascinating to see the Star Wars universe not being Jedi centric. Like there are a shit ton of people who are out there who do not have the vast majority do not have the ability to use the Force. And so I think it was a little bit, I don't know. It was grittier. It was less glamorous. Not that Luke Skywalker had a particularly glamorous life. When you kiss your sister, that kind of just ruins everything. But no, I thought it was really interesting to show the, you know, like the real people of the universe.
Right on. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, that pretty much wraps up the stream today. Just a little bit of a short one, but yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate it. Make sure you go and follow Jordan on Instagram. I had put his information on screen. I'll put it on again right now. And also make sure you visit thequickcritic.com for all kinds of fun new release reviews, retrospective reviews, and other fun stuff. And yeah, for all your entertainment needs, keep it locked to the QC. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
See you guys later. Bye.